Hello, well, we're back. Well, I'm certainly back. 'Cause it feels like it's been, 3, maybe even a month since I've been on here, because I know Kerry's took it 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So, obviously, this is a trigger warning stream. We're discussing about breaking generational trauma. Obviously, we've got Ashley, who we're going to kickstart with. How are you?
Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Some days I feel like I'm surviving, but I'm hanging in there. It's all good.
As long as you're getting in enough self-care, that's all that matters.
I just got back from vacation this week, so I feel like I had some time to just like not take meetings. I think I did one call that I needed to do last week that I couldn't reschedule, but other than that, I spent some time reading. I got some books accomplished that I wanted to, and just chilled out. So
yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. How are you, Nick? Are you doing all right?
Yeah, they're all good. Tired, but booked a holiday. My son for next month. So
that's brilliant. And all I can say is I'm glad to be back. That week I was off social media was a blessing. It really was. I completed it. I did it. What was it? I came off that Tuesday, but I came back that following Monday.
That's a week, yeah.
Yeah.
It's my turn next, because Ashley and you have both done it.
Yeah, so Ashley, is that mission accomplished?
I guess so. I guess what did you learn from that experience?
I knew you were going to kickstart with that. All I can say is I learned more about myself. I learned more about being a dad and being a partner, and also I learned how to put my phone down.
In just a matter of, like, say 6 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, Kerry was constantly mentioning that there's things need doing in the house, organising, and I was never picking up on it. But I also noticed how addictive social media and games can actually be. So when I put that, I completely deleted every bit of social media except Facebook message. I deleted everything, WhatsApp, you name it, it was gone. And I noticed there were things that need doing in this house. I noticed, I identified that. So I feel like Kerry was waiting for me to notice that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh, shut up. I will do this challenge again. I will.
Next time, I'm going to challenge you to do a 40-day.
A 40-day?
40.
Accepted.
Yeah, wow.
Accepted.
I might start a week myself. Build up to it, but
40 days. You might come back with a whole new brand for the mental health warriors if you do that, because that's what happened for me.
Long time.
Are you saying you're going to rebrand the Warriors?
I'm not saying I'm rebranding the Warriors. I'm saying you might decide to, because you want to make it different or improve it or whatever. Like, I'm just saying, all things are possible, my friend. All things are possible.
They are. Yeah.
40 days.
40 days, well, challenge accepted. Just let me know when I could start and I'll go for it.
Look forward to seeing what happens. Yeah, great idea.
Yeah. So anyway, generational trauma. Like I said, this is a trigger warning stream. Please do share this, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Please do. So let's open up. Ashley, I'm going to kickstart with you.
Okay.
What inspired you to come on and actually have this conversation? Because you came up with this topic.
Yes. I think it's important for us to realize that we, as human beings, are not our parents. That we are not our grandparents. We are not the generations before us. We are our own individual people. And we have the opportunity to carry on those generational traumas, those generational curses, or we have the ability to say, no, it stops with me.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to follow in those footsteps. I don't need to have that same behavior as XYZ. And I think that's important to note, because I think so many of us parent the way we were parented. We behave the way that our parents behaved, or things that we saw growing up. And when we finally detach from that, it's a whole different identity that we get to walk in.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like just recently, because obviously we're decorating this house at the minute, and my mother-in-law, obviously she's got that controlling behaviour which she needs to put her views across, and normally we allowed that, but lately, ever since we moved into this house, which we've been here 8 years now, every time she's put her try putting her views across, I'm like, no, it's not happening, not happening. And she tried putting her views across when it comes to our decorating, how things should be, and I'm like, we will have it how we want. And she didn't like that. She didn't like that. But it's setting those boundaries. That this is our home. We don't come to your house and tell you how to run it, where to put things there. So respect us.
No, fair enough. You put it down.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nick, why do so many families struggle to talk openly about trauma?
Well, I mean, by its nature, it's a sensitive subject, and I think by talking about it, it starts admitting there's trauma there, and I think that's the first thing, isn't it? You know, admitting that there's trauma taking place or has taken place can be hard. It's getting in the open, isn't it? It's confronting it and facing it and discussing it. And I think sometimes within families, it's easier to try and avoid the issue, to sort of try and just move on or just pretend it never happened or it's not happening. So I think, yeah, it can be traumatic talking about trauma, isn't it? So yeah, sometimes it's easier to try and avoid it, really.
So from your experience with trauma, because I think we've all experienced some sort of trauma, whether it's severe or not, give us some prime examples of what generational trauma that people may have not immediately recognized.
I mean, I guess the obvious thing is, being treated in a certain way, and having a bad experience when being treated a certain way by a certain person. If you look at a family context, and that trauma can be hard because sometimes there can be people in a family who might not agree that that person could have done that or would have done that, and it can be is the other person exaggerating it? There's whole sort of layers of different sort of emotive thoughts that can really sort of enter any sort of family situation where trauma's happened. I think it's I mean, trauma can be anything from obviously a marital breakup, family breakup, or it could be more sort of obviously abuse at the other end of the scale, isn't it? And everything in between.
Yeah. So Ashley, I'm going to give you a tough one here. Yeah, and I love your comment, Martin, as well. Breaking free from our parents' old behaviours is a blessing to us, and it certainly is. It really is. So, Ashley, what role, from your experience, do fear, shame, guilt, and silence play in keeping trauma alive?
It's being in that, and I'm going to call it what I believe it is that victim mentality.
Yeah.
Versus, again, speaking out what happened, you feel like you have to suppress it. Because when there's been some sort of trauma, take abuse, for example, when there's been some sort of trauma as abuse, we often take it as we did something wrong. That it's our fault. We deserved it. And if I was just a better kid, or if I just behaved better, if I would have listened. So we take that and we internalize it as we aren't good enough. And when we internalize that as we aren't good enough, it creates that shame and guilt and like, it's all my fault. And then we continue to process through that. And then we carry that into other relationships that we get into. So the minute somebody starts treating us badly, when we get what we tolerate. So if we think that somebody treating us badly is normal, then those other relationships we get into, when they start treating us that same way, again, we internalize it. Well, I must have said something wrong. And it keeps just going in this cyclical pattern of repetitive guilt and shame and not enoughness. So it attaches to our identity versus saying and really looking at, okay, this person hurt me. Now, when we think about it, and as kids, we don't do this, but we can do this as adults, of course. And by that point, you've had so much trauma carried, in your baggage and in your suitcase that it's a lot to unpack. But as adults, or when we're older and more mature, we can look at it and we can say, okay, what happened to that person for them to think that it was okay to hurt me?
Yeah.
And you get curious and you start asking questions versus taking it on of, I must have did something wrong. I must have caused this to happen. When in reality, it's because that particular person thought that that was normal and it was okay. So they repeated the pattern.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that takes me to my recovery. And my very first sponsor, because in step 4, you write down your list of everyone that's harmed you, basically, and you need to put what part you played, I played in that. And I didn't think I played any part in it. And I put my mum on there, and I blasted her on this piece of paper. And he sat me down and he's saying, okay, what she did is, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't. It's unforgivable. It's unforgettable. But the question he asked me is, how much do you actually know your mum? And it actually got me thinking. What did she do? Like, what treatment did she get for her to start drinking? For her to start smoking? For her to be abusive to me? For allowing me to get bullied? Because she's probably known that herself. Now, I was speaking to her yesterday and she told me things that I didn't even know. So we're still having these conversations and I'm telling her things that she doesn't know, vice versa. And I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, and I recently And this would be a book, Adam, that you would probably enjoy, but it's called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers.
Please send it me, and
yeah,
I'll
send it to you. But that was one of the books that I just finished while I was on vacation, and it was very thought-provoking. Okay. Because it was essentially talking about how there are certain parts of us that we don't like about ourselves, right? Or we suppress. Or there's things that drive us crazy in other people that we notice. And what happens is other people become the mirror for us. So if there's certain things about somebody that drives you crazy, we have to self-reflect to think, is that something I'm projecting onto them? Like, is that a quality within me that they're essentially mirroring back to me? But one of the things that she had talked about is how all of us have the ability in this world to be everything, good, bad, like all of it. You know, when you look at those that have committed very severe like abuse or trauma towards children, or they've committed a crime that has landed them in prison, what circumstances did they grow up in to make that happen? Because you don't just become a criminal overnight. You know what I mean?
No.
Like there's things that happen within your life.
It starts with mental, doesn't it?
Well, right. So it's if our circumstances were different, or we were put into scenarios that would show us or train us, if you will, to be in those environments, we have the capability to be the same thing, right? Yeah. We have the capability. If you grow up in a very traumatized childhood and you're abused severely, or you're, you know, I don't want to go too far where then we get canceled, but like you're taken, right? And you're put into that situation and you're held for a certain period of time, like then all of a sudden you get free. You then have that circumstance or that capability of, this is normal. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. You know what? Like our circumstances can create those sides of us that we like look upon as like, well, why would they hurt somebody to that degree? Why would they do that? But when you think about the circumstances that maybe that person grew up in or whatever, it changes your perspective.
Have you noticed though, well, I've noticed when it comes to these criminals, is they do the crime, like if they've done the crime for years, for example, because that's normal, they always play the mental health card.
I mean, when you're thinking about traumas and abuse, it's one of those things that it's something to definitely look at and think about. Of it's wired their brain in such a way that they think that this behavior is just normal behavior because they don't know anything different. They haven't had anything different shown for them, right? So how does that psyche of the brain, how does that play out? Like, it's very interesting, but it probably isn't far off as to why that happens, you know? And it's like one of the other things in the book she was talking about is one lady didn't like her personality of being bitchy. Well, sometimes being bitchy gets you like movement in something that you're seeking a result to. Like sometimes you have to take out that personality.
It's me with the assertiveness.
Well, exactly. How do you?
For a specific reason, right? But it's not anything that you necessarily have to suppress. So when you can accept all of you, the good, bad, and indifferent, like you walk in a different like posture. You become freer. And I think that's the same thing with the generational traumas. When you can be on the outside looking in and and really see, okay, well, take alcohol, for example.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got family members that drink heavily, even if it's just family functions, or it becomes a regular everyday single thing, you know, you can look at that and be like, what are they trying to avoid? Like, and you can get curious and think like, I grew up around this. This is not normal. Like,
Yeah.
and you can decide, I don't have to live that way. Like, my family, they're all big drinkers. Me, I don't drink. It also is an assistance as far as like my husband, like his mom is or was an alcoholic. So he was like, those two dynamics don't mix, and he doesn't drink either because he's seen the effects of that. So he's like, no, I'm not going to touch it. And that has essentially like carried me along the way of, okay, if this isn't okay for him, I'm not going to keep re-traumatizing him by consuming alcohol where he feels like I'm not safe and I like my wife is an alcoholic like my mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's again, it's breaking those generational traumas and behaviors because you don't want your kids living the way that you had to grow up.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I think it's that way of thinking, like about my actions, my behavior, who I am is predetermined because that my father's like this, all my family like this, my grandfather's like this, I am the way I am because I was brought up this way by my father the same way. So it's almost like it's predetermined. It's the way it is. It's destiny. I can't do about it because this is the way it's always been. And that's it. I think that's the mentality that sometimes people can think they can't change it because it's always been that way in the family. But actually, like Ashley said, it's saying it's about choice. And well, actually, you can choose to think that way and be that way. Or actually, you can take a decision to be different to all those other generations. Perhaps you could be the first one.
Yeah. So you mentioned about obviously expressing how you feel, and it got me thinking of a question which is not on here. Now, obviously, there are people out there, like for example, with me. Cheers for that, by the way. That obviously, growing up, I used violence to get it to stop physically, and I'm not like that. And it's like, what is the difference between being assertive, straight to the point, saying enough is enough, to completely, right, enough is fucking enough. Stop. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just
like a prime example. Is obviously for years. Obviously, me and Kerry, we've been in that situation where we've had good times. We've also had rocky times, which every relationship does. And I finally identified that she's got that controlling little bit of behaviour, which is okay, but so do I. And we're always battling about it. And we're never stopping and compromising, meeting in that middle. And it's caused division within the family. So I sat us down the other day and I'm like, right, enough is enough. We need to get back on track and get back into becoming a family unit again, becoming a team. And it's worked because now we play daily family games. We speak. Our kids are now opening up to us. Me and Kerry are talking a lot more. So, yeah.
I mean, I think enough is it's really about that point of determination to change the way things are. It doesn't always have to be because confronting someone who's treated you badly and saying enough is enough directly to them. I think it can also be saying to yourself, enough's enough. I'm no longer going to think this way I've been thinking. I'm no longer going to react this way. I think
breaking that cycle, isn't it?
It can be that as well. I think it's a point where you decide, okay, this cannot carry on for my own health and well-being and others around me. I cannot let this carry on. So I'm going to take some positive actions, whether that's changing your own mindset or speak, or it could be confronting people. But I don't think it always has to be about enough is enough directly to people. It can be in yourself. You know, what you do for your self-care or to manage your own mindset, isn't it?
Yeah. So going off that, and this is to Ashley mainly, is what practical steps can people take to begin healing?
The biggest thing is seeking out support.
Yeah.
Knowing that you can do whatever you want. Like, you can attempt to heal all the traumas in the world on your own, but you have to remember that you're looking through it from your lens. So when you bring somebody else in, as far as like a coach, a therapist, like whatever the case may be, right? And you have a different perspective when you share those traumas and the patterns that you find yourself in, they're going to give you an outside view, an outside opinion. And again, you're free to take whatever works or doesn't work, right, for you. It isn't something that's like, no, you have to do this if you want to break this, right? Because coaches, especially like when I work with clients and they tell me they have, you know, this trauma or this particular situation that keeps coming up for them. And then we explore that. And it's, okay, well, why is that? And often, like, well, when I was a kid, XYZ said to me this, or I feel like I need to shrink to make other people feel comfortable. Okay, but why is that? Because I was always told to be seen and not heard. I was told that I talk too much. I was told that I was too much, right? So we internalize that and we keep repeating those stories. So then as adults, we end up shrinking, right? And we've got the little us on our shoulder, and versus like speaking and truly making our needs or our expectations or our thoughts known, we just shove it under the rug, right? But a coach can help you make those connections, and a therapist can too, but like it's that different perspective. Again, you can try to heal all the traumas you want on your own, but again, you're looking at it with your lens only versus a different opinion, a different viewpoint, a different perspective. And somebody else's perspective makes connections in our brain of, I never thought of it that way. So that's something that I work with my clients on a lot of times. And don't get me wrong, there's things I will tell my clients that they definitely don't want to hear or they don't like to hear, but it starts stirring something inside of them to be able to be like, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
exploring.
Yeah. And this is to everybody. How can we replace negative family patterns with healthier ones?
I could throw something in because I was when I was younger, my father left when I was about 3 years old, and it was quite a difficult time for our family when he went to Thailand, came back and forth, and it was very complicated. And it had a big effect on me a lot, you know, my confidence, and there's a long-lasting sort of impact on my relationship with him that has always been strained. And I was thinking at one point, like, and I've never wanted. I was determined never to be the same as him, as in never to treat any future partner and family better than he treated his family, to never leave the family and all these things. And then I realized actually, my relationship with my ex ended at the same time that my father left, and there's a few other similarities in our lives. And then I thought, oh well, easy to go down that rabbit hole of, oh well, is it one of those things? Is it is that it? I'm like him. All that saying I don't want to be, I don't want to repeat his mistakes, and I've done it. But I think, and it's easy to get that way of thinking that, because you share your life shares some of the similarities about, say, your father, another member of your family, but then you're like them. But obviously, it's about getting that, that bring it back to, yes, there may be some points of similarity, but actually, you control who you are, and obviously there's many other factors that make up where, who you are, and and where you're going, and so but I did have that moment where I thought, oh my god, I've done the same, as he, but it's important I think it's important, because it's easy to think that sometimes we've had experience in our family which are been quite negative, and then when you think, well, they're continuing, you feel that loss of control. But I think it's important to step back and always remember that actually the which way your life goes is up to you. It's up to you. You know what I mean? It's
yeah. So, how important is accountability in the healing process?
It's interesting, because I think accountability is so key, because as you're talking about, the benefit of having a good coach, they can challenge some of your thought patterns, and they can offer suggestions for different ways of looking at things. But I think they also they can offer accountability to check in and say, did you do what you said you're going to do? And I think accountability is so important, because if you don't have accountability, then you can, always back out. You can always sort of say, oh, I know I said I'd do that. Actually, I was tired, or I was stressed, or I was too busy, and then never commit to doing the actions you promised, and you want to do and need to do to better yourself. So I think, really, if actions that you don't follow through on are just empty promises, and nothing changes then, doesn't it? So I think, you need some sort of accountability to, I think, in life, to make sure that you do, if you, because I think we all want to better ourselves, and
we do.
I think we should make a little commitment, in our minds, and say, well, I'm going to try and be a better person. I'm going to take actions every day, or this next week, to be a better person, to be nicer to my partner, my family, and if no accountability in any way, then whether you do that has no consequences. So I think accountability.
Yeah. So have you ever recognized a family pattern that you decided to change? So if it was toxic, from your part, did you have to change yourself for the situation to change?
I mean, the only example I can think is that what happened with when I was younger, and my father, it impacted me more than my other siblings, and it led to me being lacking in confidence and being bullied, and I think that in some ways, I was still letting my father affect my life, because he was left and lived in Thailand, but he was still affecting my life, because what he had said and done was still meaning that I was letting other people treat me badly. So I suppose that's an example I can give, where I thought, okay, no, I've got to It's like, you know, saying earlier, got to say no, enough's enough. What's happened has happened. You know, I'm gonna, you know, start from ground zero, and actually this is it. You know, new me. What, you know, sort of separating off, isn't it? You know, it's not. You know, I think it's moving on doesn't mean forgetting, doesn't mean forgiving. It doesn't. It can be, but I think sometimes you just have to say, you know, there's a point where you say, right, you know, what's happened has happened, but I'm gonna, move things forward.
Yeah. Have you got anything for me?
Yeah, I mean, you. Do you think that, you know, with sort of with generational trauma, do you think it's anything you can ever truly move on from? I think it's always there, impacting life.
Yeah, I believe I have moved on because I chose to change the way I approach things, because some toxic traits from my past do still haunt me. And do I think they'll always haunt me? I don't know. But all I can say is I'm not letting those inner demons impact me, because I now choose to live life rather than let life live me. Because growing up, people was living my life for me.
And I guess the next question following on, because it's about, you know, as a father, I think when you have children, you know, if you've had generational trauma, I think, you know, to stop it being passed down the line, you continuing the bad behavior. I think, you know, you want to be a better, perhaps sometimes you want to be a better father than your father was, or you want to be a better parent than your parents were.
Yeah.
And so in my own experience, my son, you know, I want to be the best, you know, father I can, always inspiring, give my son, you know, confidence and all the things I lacked from my own. Do you, being a father yourself, has it, you know, does it give you lessons to pass to your children, or determination to be a better father?
It does, because obviously I was brought up to basically realise that I should always fall back on things. And I would never ever say that to my kids. Never. Because our goal is in front of us, not behind us. The lessons are behind us. And yeah, definitely fall back on your lessons. But obviously, I was brought up to realise I wasn't allowed emotions. I had to be strong and defensive. But why should I live like that now? Be on eggshells, be looking over my shoulder every single day in case someone attacks me. I'm not like that. I'm just going to keep living life the best I can, one day at a time, and yeah, go from there. If that answered it.
Yes, no, definitely. I just want to go back to that sort of enough's enough. You know, do you think because I think it's an interesting one. You know, we all go through different challenges in our lives. You know, and that never stops as part of what life is. But I wonder whether, you know, we all have a point where wherever, you know, in different areas where we have to say, okay, that's enough's enough. I'm going to change.
Yeah, I've done that. It's that breaking point, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that breaking point. Yeah, and I've done that because there were a lot of falling outs between the four of us. Obviously, I can't say the young one just yet, but there were a lot of falling outs, and I'm like, enough is enough. Because we all have a part to play in this. It takes effort to become a team. Otherwise, then we may as well just be divided. And none of us wants that. So what are we going to do about that? We're going to keep moving forward together and spend as much time as we can together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's teaching the kids that they shouldn't hold on to resentments, because the last thing they want, and I've mentioned it, and I don't feel like it's selfish whatsoever, but I don't want the kids telling me they hate me, and then like one night, and then me not waking up the next day.
Sure.
Because that'll traumatise them for the rest of the days. Because there's that saying in it, you should never go to bed angry.
No, that's a wise saying. Yeah, go to bed angry, wake up angry, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I guess it's unresolved.
Yes.
Unresolved issues become bigger issues. You know, if more time you have to grow. So it's like you say, it's resolve things before they snowball. It's interesting. I guess we all want to be a good role model, you know, particularly when we have a family. And I guess because with yourself and your story, do you think by what you've gone through, what you come through, do you think that is something?
Well, I sat my daughter down the other day, and I feel like this is inspiring towards me as well, because obviously I used to have father-daughter time a lot, and well, through my drinking days I never got any at all, and I went into a room, but I just dropped everything, went into a room, just sat down next to her, and I just started talking to her, asking how she feels rather than just make it all about me. And she started opening up. And then I'm like, okay, is this because we're not having enough time together, just you and me? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And do you think I'm spending more time with the young one than I am with you? Yeah, there is that. I'm like, okay, so what would you like me to do for us to spend time together? Because I know we used to go to football games together. And she interrupted me straight away and she went, yeah, but then Lucas got involved.
Sure.
I'm like, okay, I see that. So then when I came downstairs, after about half an hour, I'm just processing what we've talked about. I called both of them down, explained the situation. He's agreed to just back off a little bit, but not feel rejected like I'm abandoning him. Just that. So we've now agreed that I'll be taking her football, then I'll be taking him football, etc., etc. And me and Kerry have now got an agreement that if none of them want to go football, then me and her go football.
That's amazing. It sounds like good negotiating skills there. Wow.
You did.
Incredible.
The West Ham game.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes. You missed the Bolton West Ham game. So yeah.
It's funny. There's a story where my Noah had to go at school. Kids had to say what their parents did for work, and a lot of them had sort of clear job types. Like I don't know, I can't think of an example. A postman, I don't know, accountant, whatever. And I thought, oh no, they had to talk about what their parent did for a job. And I thought, what's Noah going to say? Because I didn't have a clear job. I was trying lots of different things, but different business ventures, but I didn't really have a job or career. And I thought, oh no, what's Noah going to be able to say? Will he feel, And then apparently said, he stood in front of class and he said, my dad's an entrepreneur. And,
wow.
But I thought that was really touching because I thought, he wouldn't know what to say because he didn't know what I did. And I was always doing different things, trying to make things work. But I thought, oh, that's really sweet, So it just shows,
It does. I want to ask these couple ones as well is, first of all, what positive legacy do you want to leave behind? That is a big one.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I was reading a book, and it was about, I can't remember the title of it, but it was about dreaming big and what your legacy will be. And I think it's something I don't think about often, but every now and then I do think, how would I be like to be remembered? And I think it's a couple of things. I think it's standing up for what you believe in, whether that's your family, or helping others, but someone who's and being a role model, inspiring others. Some of those things. I think if I was remembered for someone who stood up for what I believe in, inspire others by my actions, to be a role model, and I think that'd be a good starting point. But
well, you won't see me dancing like I saw you, though.
That's a good dance, yeah.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Brilliant. You won't catch me dancing like that. Never.
Don't often.
Never. But yeah, it is all good. And this one as well is if pain, fear, and trauma, and to be honest, this is actually for everyone. I'm even going to ask Kerry this as well. So yeah, I'm going to ask you all a question here. If pain, fear, and trauma can be passed down through generations, then what love, wisdom, and strength can we choose to pass down instead?
Oh, I love the question.
I've an alcohol in my system. I can't do that shit. My heart don't function.
Well, it's wonderful came to me is how if you're really scared of doing, fearful and scared of doing something, the feeling of fear is exactly the same as if you're excited to do something.
Yeah.
And I guess it's the same as you can spend a lot of energy being angry or but if you devote the same amount of energy to wisdom and love, then then that's a better way of channeling.
Yeah, I think the first thing people need to do is work on themselves, lose the fear, seek out help, as Ashley said, and once you've noticed a few changes into that, you're on that healing thing, then you can begin to start loving yourself, then loving others, showing that strength, showing that determination and wisdom, and then be that best role model towards yourself and to your other peers.
Very nicely put. I mean, yeah, lovely. Very nice to put that, Adam.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know if you want to wrap up early.
Yeah, we could. I just wanted to. I mean, I don't know if you've already said it, but just to finish up. I mean, what's your about legacy? Maybe that is it.
I used to believe my legacy was to end the stigma, build a community, and end the stigma. Of course, that's still the case, but my legacy is just keeping this word out, keep spreading this awareness, and be the best version of myself. And don't let idiots bring me down.
Lovely. Oh, you're doing a good job.
Keep that calm, positive mind.
No, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Ashley as well, who had to jump off early. But we are back next week. That we are going to talk about parenting and identity. So, any final words, Nick, before we wrap up?
Yeah, I suppose just to say that we can control our own destiny, and we always have options. So, however many generations, a certain behaviours, certain actions, certain traumas gone on, doesn't mean that it has to continue. You can always say that moment and say enough's enough. You can say that enough's enough at any point.
Yeah, and all I can say is thank you for tuning in, everybody. And healing starts with awareness, change starts with action, and every generation has the power to create a better future than the one they inherited.
Definitely.
So on that note, I'm going to end this, and we will see you same time next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Cheers.